Hello YouTubers, how are we? Okay, so we're back. Let's cut out some pockets and let's cut out some wallets. I think I've talked enough about other things. I think we're going to go ahead and we're at the end of this blade, but I still think we have a little bit of gas left in this blade. So we'll go ahead and get started on some singles. When we get to that double, or we get to the thicker leather, then we're going to want to definitely change this blade out. So we're going to move real slowly on this, especially on these curves, because you can really, on these curves, you can really kind of botch these up per se if you don't get these just right. And so we want to, so there's that curve. Let's try this curve. Let's go ahead and get this dude going. Come around like this. Until we get to the straightaway. There we go. And this curve here. Come around and get this curve like that. How's that look? Okay. And then we'll, on these straights, these short straights, we'll freehand them. And on this one here, we're going to freehand this as well. It's not a very long straightaway. Just go nice and slow. Come straight across with it. Keeping our wrist straight, keeping our hands straight, keeping our cutter straight. And when we do that, it should give us a good clean cut. Now this one here didn't cut clean on the curve. So we're going to want to come back around and cut that. I think that's good. Yeah. And on this one, I want to get him started here. We'll just take that point and put him down through there. And I'll just go ahead and freehand it for now. And stop there, hit the point in there, come back, take this point, get it down, come across, same thing on this side, point come down, and it pretty much almost came out. So, get pretty close to getting that done. Okay. And then this straightaway here, we just got to come straight through here. Get rid of that piece. I'll straighten him up. Looks like we need to trim a little piece of that off and come through here nice and slow. And there we go. Okay, there's one. So this is a little choppy, but we can sand that away. So like these ones that are choppy like that, we can take our little sanding disc and we can just kind of shape it, if you will. Come around like this. can see is it's pulling a little bit of that off of there. So it's pulling a little bit of that off of there. Just don't push hard, and just kind of sand real nice and easy. And then we can find our scissors, our little clippers. Clip that little piece off it there. Clip this off. And come back around is not to push very hard because we don't want to mushroom that out. And we're just going to kind of want to go with the flow there and come back around. That's another way I like these discs here, because you can come flat off of this and come around. So I can come off a round point here and then come flat. And then almost come into a straight. So it gives us some options here to, well, we can kind of turn it a little sideways and give you a little bit of option like this to go around and get some of those. Areas, and so kind of straightens it back up. Don't look too bad. It's a little mushroomed right there, and so, but what we'll do for this mushroom here is just take our thin, this is super thin, and we'll just take that thin pieces off through there. And that'll take that mushroom effect off of there, which is just that edge, that little teeny tiny edge, that you can barely see. Come back around. Just take that off of there real nice and gentle. And you do it like that, it takes it off and then makes it look really good. So you can't hardly tell that we had any choppy issues, and it was really because we cut and then lifted. Anytime you cut and lift your knife, the thing you want to do is when you cut with your knife, you want to try not to lift it. Sometimes you can't avoid it, you know. In this instance, I did lift it, and it cut it choppy, and so we had to fix it. So again, like I said, you know, leather work is about fixing your mistakes as much as it is about doing a good job. So the best thing to do is just to go slow as you can. Try not to lift your knife. and try to come around best you can. Maybe start a little early. That way when you're pulling it towards you and it sinks down in there, you can kind of lift it up, come around. Because the problem is when you stop and then you push down and create pressure, then when you start giving it tension and you want to start going, it doesn't go at first, and then all of a sudden it just jumps. And when you do that, it causes your knife to jump, and then what happens is then you have an issue with your cut. So anytime you're freehanding, these are the issues you got to watch out for. That's why if you're going to do a lot, and see this here didn't cut well with our so we got to we'll have to fix that little edge. It's not too bad, but we'll have to kind of fix it a little bit. But anytime you're freehanding, you're going to have some issues somewhere down along the line. So you're better off to take your time and then try to keep your knife going smooth, slow, and try to keep consistent. And if you can, try to keep it moving. If you can keep your knife moving without getting outside the lines, the better your cut will be. But you don't want to sacrifice your quality either. With keeping your knife moving, because sometimes if you keep your knife moving too fast, you will cut outside the line, and then it'll look kind of crazy or crooked, and you don't want that to happen either. And a lot of times when you push down, you don't get all the way through, but when you start pulling towards you, as you pull, your knife will go down, and then, you know, that's sometimes where you can kind of run into some issues. If you're on a curve and you're just starting like here and you're pushing down and then you're trying to cut that curve immediately, and then your knife is sinking at the same time, it can cause you some issues. So you have to watch out for that as well. And then, like this, our paper cut, but this the leather didn't cut all the way. So you got to kind of find out which side didn't cut well without overrunning. When you get two pieces that meet, you got to find out, was it this cut or this cut that didn't go well? Because you don't want to overcut, because now you'll be cutting up into your leather, and you don't want to overcut this one because you'll be cutting into your leather. Because like on here, you know, the cut goes down, but you got leather up here and you got leather up here. So you've got to really be careful, like when you get a hanger like that, to trying to figure out which side it is, and say we got a little piece right there that didn't cut. And sometimes you just gotta be patient and take little slices ever so slightly, because your knife is super strong, super sharp. You just got to cut one way, then the other, one way, then the other, and try not to go outside of that cross. Just think of that as a cross hatch area. Try not to go outside of that area, is the only thing I can say. And, you know, try to keep things even. And these are tough to cut because you can see they're different. They're a curve, and you can cut them as good as you want, but sometimes they don't cut very well. And sometimes you'll cut one different than the other one. You know, so you'll have this roundness here won't be the same as here. Like on this one here, it seems like the roundness comes more to a peak here. So, you know, we gotta kind of round that off a little bit. And you know, I stayed in the lines. You can always go back and see if you stayed in the lines, and you can see where where you should be taking more leather off at, or you can just eyeball it like this. As you get better with it, you'll be able to eyeball it. But that's why, if you're going to make a lot of wallets like these and you're doing it for a living, you're better off on specialty cuts like this, where you've got a lot of curves and you got things like this, is to go ahead and pay someone to make you a couple stencils out of metal and getting a 4-ton press is almost a must, because that thing is, I mean, you can use it for a lot. It's versatile. I mean, it's so versatile. You can use it for a lot of different things. And, you know, you can use it to take your stamp, put your stamp in your leather. You could use it to, if you're pressing two pieces of leather together, you know, because sometimes you'll need to glue two pieces of leather together. You are going to run into that, I guarantee it. And so when you need to do that, you're going to need something that's going to be able to smash down and hold it without crushing it. And that 4-ton press is a perfect thing to use. So, you know, it's invaluable to have. So, based on that, it's, you know, it's good to have that. And so, since you're already going to have that, you might as well go ahead and get your get you some stencils that are sharp. They're wood on the backside and they're metal. You've seen them probably in other of my videos. And you know, they look like this, like a piece of but they're wood. And then on the back side they have a sharp metal that's this shape. And you lay your leather down and you put that on there, and you just put your 4-ton press and you pull it down until you hear it pop. Pull it up and it cuts you a perfect piece out. It cuts your circles perfect. It cuts everything just perfect. your lines are straight, everything is perfect. And so from there you can take off, and you're ready to you're ready to make your piece, whatever it is. And they're very handy, and you don't have to take time doing what I'm doing here, trying to correct stuff. I'm doing this because I'm trying to show you, when you first get started, you're not going to have all that stuff. So you're going to need to know, how do I correct this, Frank? Well, this is how you do it. You use these simple tools to make your modifications, come back through and take your pieces off. And that's how you do it. Then as time goes on, you can invest in. And the other thing is keeping your knife sharp. The sharper your knife, the easier it is to cut this leather, because when you have to push down so hard to keep your knife engaged, so it cuts all the way through, that's a different story. And so when you keep your knife sharp, it's easier because it goes through like butter. But then that's when you got to be careful, because if you're used to working with a dull knife, and then all of a sudden you take a sharp knife and you start cutting leather, you're going to cut it to shred. You're going to go outside the lines. You're going to roll around over, because it's going to be so easy to cut the leather with. You're going to be running off the page. So try to stay consistent with keeping your knife sharp, so that way you're always working with a sharp knife. That way you can stay consistent on your leather. Because anytime you do one and then you cut something different on another, it's going to show. You're going to, just like this right here, we got a little bit of cut it from one direction, cut it from another direction, and you got to meet in the middle. And if it doesn't line perfectly up, then you're going to have a little hump there, a little leather lump. And so when you have that, it's if you're cutting from one area and then you cut back this way, unless you hit that line straight on perfect. And I don't know how many people that can hit that line straight on perfect. Sometimes you can get lucky, sometimes you cannot. But so what you've got to do is you've got to be real careful and try to be as consistent as you can. Try to look at what you're doing. Sometimes if you're working with these papers, you can lift up the paper so you can see the leather underneath. So you can see what you're doing, see what you're cutting. Because sometimes you'll cut the paper, but you won't cut the leather. And so your paper, you can't reveal what's underneath. And so you're gonna have to take the paper and lift it up so you can see what the heck you did. So the more you can cut without lifting up your knife, the better off you are. And the more you can stay within the lines, the better your piece is going to come out too. So stay within the lines. Try not to lift your knife up like that as much. Try to keep your knife as vertical as possible, like this, so that your point is always down and you're guiding it. You can guide it with this, you can guide it with your elbow, but you know, you just gotta be able to come off with a good cut 99% of the time. And then the other 2%, you'll just have to fix it. And then just work slow. And if you have a sharp knife, you can draw that knife through this leather pretty slow. Like I just came over there, see it cut the paper, but that's not quite cut. It's not quite cut up. Well, there it goes on that end. Now sometimes you can pull at this and it'll come off. And then you can see if there's anything left. Like this one here, it just slightly overcut on this side here and not this side here. It'll be okay in the end, but you know, this piece just doesn't, you know, you can kind of look at your pieces and see, do they look right? Do they look weird? Like this piece for some reason doesn't look as good as this one. I don't know why. This one looks too long. So you can always measure them up with another piece and see how it looks. Yeah, it looks fine. Looks a little different. This line here, straight line here is off on this piece. So take this other piece and just line him up. Let's see. 2 out of 3. Just line that up, line that up. Line these up. And this is showing the same results. It looks like that there's a reason this doesn't look right, just because this piece here wasn't cut correctly. So we're gonna have to go back and recut him. We'll cut him off this piece here, going real slow. And the reason I know that is because this looked short on the other piece. This little nipple didn't look right. And when I measured it up to this one, this was too long on this line. And even so down here. So, and so is this back here. But we have to really be careful that we don't cut into the top piece of leather. Okay. So this piece of leather, we did cut a little bit on it, not too bad. Not enough to be any big deal, but we did take this one and correct it. So we'll want to come back and then come up, and then take this piece out. And so this is a result of our paper cutting or moving while we were cutting. So, you know, you have that too. So now looking at this piece here, it looks much better, much better. It looks deeper and not real short. Before it looked short and fat, and that was because this here wasn't cut back far enough. And so we'll just give this a little fixing up here. And see, I had two other pieces. I had these two other pieces that I'd cut, and when I put them up to this, they both revealed that, and I didn't cut these together. They were separate cuts. All three were separate cuts. So these two pieces were cut good, and they matched up here, and they matched up on the round, they matched up here, and they matched up here. But when I put both of them on this, it clearly showed that this was too long. It matched up here, matched up on the round here. It matched up on the outside, but this did not match up. And so when I turned it over, you could see that it was cut way off base. So it had to get trimmed. And it would have shown when we put it on our wallet, because the thing is that we will have this, and this will fit our tea pockets. So our tea pockets are going to fit down in here and across. So that's those. And so now we can take, sometimes you can take like all three of these guys, and we can kind of marry them up so they look right. Getting this part here married up. These married up. This married up. And then you could go in here and start trimming some things up if you wanted to, or you could take your sandpaper and you could kind of, you know, do one of these numbers, you know. So what we would do is we would take this, and once we knew we had this set right and perfect, we'd take some clamps and clamp them so they didn't move. And then we'd go in here and we'd start sanding that down a little bit, but looks pretty good. But I'll just go ahead and show you what I'm talking about. So you would kind of measure these up where this part is married up real well, okay? So we know that these, you put your fingernail in there and just kind of use that, use this. So So I know it's this way and this way because this is good, this is good, these are good. And so what we would do is we would take one of our clamps. Let me find my clamps here. Here's one. We would just clamp that together so that this doesn't move. And then go to this end and do the same thing. Just marry this up. Marry this up as best you can. Marry this here up. It's flush. See what these look like. Make sure that this seems flush. Okay. So come in here like this. And then take another clamp. I'll have another one like that. So I want to make sure that we got that. And they're good. Yeah, that seems right. Hold everything. You get that clamp together, and then now you know that got this edge here that seems pretty decent. This is kind of sticking out. Let me clip that off there because that's going to run in the way. Sticking over like that. Now that these are clamped, they're not going to move. Now I can run my finger and make sure that this seems right, these seem right. You know, and you could always just take this and give it a little sand. Making sure that that flat spot's good. Like this. And you could just kind of, get this spot here like so. Pinch them together and just kind of, hit them like this. And then hold these together and look at how our looks. And then just kind of give it a little sand and making sure they all are identical. That way they'll look pretty uniform. And we could come around like this. Yeah, like this. And I can see that one of them sticks out a little bit. So I know he's not as cut as well as the other two. So what you do is you just sand on him until they all come together and they look right. Like so. Try and show you in the camera what I'm doing. Just than this corner out. Getting the same roundness. Same thing here. This back. Straight. Get this straight. And then by doing this, you're gonna make sure that all the pieces are identical. And by the way, we didn't need 3 of these anyway. We only needed 2. We needed 4 of the others. We only needed 2 of these. So, now we take that off. We know that they're pretty identical. We only need 2 of these. So, I'll save this one for another day. So that's what I do, is when I have extra pieces like that, I'll put them in a special area, and I'll know that I have them. And then anytime I'm making wallets, I always go and look in that area for those specific pieces before I cut other ones out. Especially if I'm going to use the same, if I'm going to use like a veg tan leather, which that's what that is, that's veg tan. So since I have veg tan, you know, could use those. Now, get our piece of paper here. Because one thing we're going to want to do with these is we're going to want to change the color on these. Sorry about my nose, is kind of, it was a little stuffy earlier. The weather's turning here, and driving everybody with allergies crazy. Okay. Taking all the corn up. Or they just did. Now we're getting a little snow here. The other thing I do is I keep baggies of little daubers, used daubers. Instead of throwing them away every time, you can use them a couple times. And just write on there what it is. Natural edge coat. We're looking for pure neat's foot oil, Canberra cream, neat's foot right here. So we'll just take this one off, and we'll use him. Put these guys back together. So I keep these in a baggie, and then I just hang them up here. I have a little hanger up here that I put these in, and because sometimes some of the stuff does not get hard, and if it doesn't get hard, like say this is nice and fluffy and you know, I wiped it off well, and sometimes you can rinse it, but I didn't rinse this. I just took and wiped it off on an old t-shirt, and it still stays moist, and you can still see the neat's foot oil coming off of there, and you can reuse it again. Saving your resources. So that's the best thing to do. Save your resources where you can. Might as well. So you just take a little bit on this and then just come right over your other piece. And just give this thing a good soaking with some good neat's foot oil. Try to apply it as evenly as possible. Let it dry. Always go one way and then turn it, go the other. They go this way, crisscross. And then that way you're going to cover a good majority of the leather in its entirety. And you'll know that you've got good coverage. And it'll look fine. And we can put it on the front. We don't necessarily need to do front and back. We just need to do the front, because that's all we're going to really see. If you wanted to do the back, like if you wanted to look in there and see, you know, that it's the same color as the front, then you could do this side. It doesn't hurt anything. Just, you know, you don't need to do it real heavy. Just take what's left over in the bottle, or on your dauber, rather, and put it on here. Maybe get a little bit more. Not a lot, just a little. Come down through here and make sure we get it on there. You're not going to see this far down in there, but you might as well just give it all here since we're doing it. Okay, somebody took the wallet apart because they wanted to change to see what color. You change the color of the stitching, and they took it all apart. They'd say, oh, they did a good job. They applied this all the way through the entire piece. Okay? And so that's kind of what it's going to look like when it finishes up. So we got to let this dry. So we'll put this over here to dry. I've got the fan on in the background here. You may hear that running. I don't know. But that's what's running. So that fan's going to help that dry a little bit. So we'll just take this one and wait. The reason I worked on these first was to get this neat's foot oil on here so these would be dry by the time we got it ready to use them. Turn this and go this way. You can, sometimes you can take it when you're going this way and press down a little bit. Turn your dauber, press down. Turn your dauber, just roll your dauber. Roll your dauber ever so slightly. Just roll it. Squeeze some of that out of your dauber. Get it on the leather. And then roll it around. Same thing, get it on the back. just take a little bit of it, get it on the tips. We go. So there we go. We didn't get it getting out of the paper. That's great. Okay, so we'll let this dry. We'll go ahead and pick this up. I always like to take my old t-shirt. There's some glue. I'll probably use this for glue right there. So I'll just take this area and just kind of smush it down and turn and smush. And kind of smush some of that needs foot oil out of there. Now some of it's going to be retained in the cotton, because that's cotton, what that is. And just kind of smush it around a little bit and then just kind of fluff it a little bit, if you will. Let's kind of fluff this a little bit, like so. And that'll dry, and then just put it back in our baggie, because we'll be able to use that again. Because needs foot doesn't really get hard, so as long as it doesn't get hard, you can put it in the baggie. Squeeze the air out of it. Some people would just throw that stuff away, but you know, it's like, why throw it away when, because those little daubers, they charge you a good piece of money for them. And there's no reason to throw them away if you can reuse them. Just penny saved is a penny earned, is what they always say, right? And since that's getting hard to see, we'll just go ahead and rewrite needs foot. Oil. Daub. Dauber. There we go. Put this back up there. Put this back in our baggies. Yep, like this. Hang it back up here. And then the next time we need needs foot oil dauber, we'll have one. Now I do have some new ones up there, so you know, when that dauber finally gets so old, or you know, gets to the point where it's just can't be used anymore, then I will break out a new one and start using it and get 3 or 4 uses out of it. So that way I don't, you know. And then when you get down to your last one, you go buy more. So, there's that. So now we can just go ahead and continue cutting while this is drying. I wanted to go ahead and do those to let that go ahead and start drying. Put this back up. Put this back up. Try to keep the area neat and clean as possible. Keep things put up. Gives you more area to work on. Because, I mean, I've got all this work area in here, and I've got stuff spread out. And I'm working in this little 2x2 area, square foot area. Seems kind of ridiculous, but, you know. Got a lot of books and things. Okay. There. And this two pocket's going to be done. And then we'll get our ruler out here for this long straight. Cut it freehand, but you know, sometimes putting your ruler up there and making sure that it is straight is good. I'll put these over here. I usually keep those. I had to look and see where I kept them at. So I'll start at the top here and try to keep our cut smooth, moving. Best we can. Cutting nice and slow. Cut this first. That, and cut this next. That's good. This one next. Cut this one next. Good. Pretty good. This one's a little bit thicker. So sometimes you'll have a roll off, what they call roll off. Now these are two pieces here, so we'll see how this goes. We'll see how sharp. I may need to go ahead and change my blade here. I don't know. We're going to find out. Because what I want to do is be able to stay with it. Because I can't remember when I changed my blade out last. Seems like it's cutting okay. Seems like it's going down all the way. Yeah, looks like it's cut okay. Well, that piece looked like it cut pretty good. So let's cut this first. Let's cut this next. Oops, yeah, I sunk him in a little bit too deep. Sometimes if you do that, you can break the tips in there. As you run your hand across there, I've got cut my hand before. So you gotta be careful of that. I'm gonna have to cut this video short here in a little bit because it's already at an hour and something. Try to keep these videos shorter than that. Because there's a lot of people that don't like watching videos that long. For some reason, it's better to split them into 2 separate videos. It's easier to upload too. So I'll cut this piece. And so there's our 4. That'll work. They look pretty good. They look all even. Won't need much sanding. So we're going to go ahead and stop this video here. And when we come back on the next video, we will cut our 2 outer wallets. Well, I'm sorry, 1 inner wallet body and 1 outer wallet body. And then we will start, after that, cleaning these up, getting them ready, and then by that time, these other 2 pieces will be dry, hopefully. And then we can go ahead and start using those and go ahead and start building our wallet. So anyway, please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's important, especially if you like these videos and you would like to see more videos like this. It's helpful that you smash that like button, smash the follow button, and that lets YouTube know, and the algorithm continues to pick things up and lets me know that you guys like my videos. So anyway, take care. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I've got many more videos to come after this, and we'll see you here on the next video. Okay? Take care. Bye-bye.